Three, two, one. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Drewski with Cryptid Warfare and Conspiracies podcast and CW Operations and Survival. Hope you guys are doing good. Happy 2026. It's freaking nuts, guys. The first of the month, 2026, is literally halfway through. So, anyways, yeah, it's enough of that. So, if you guys got any stories, you guys got any personal experiences, you guys want to be on the show, you guys want to chit chat, talk, it don't matter. Yeah, just go ahead and get a hold of me at cryptidwarfare@gmail.com. That's cryptidwarfare@gmail.com. If you guys can't find me there, find me on Instagram. That's where I'm the most plugged in at. So, like I said, you guys got any experiences, you guys got any stories, you guys want to be on the show, hit me up. You guys got any problems when it comes to cryptids, spiritual warfare, anything like that? Literally, you guys got cryptids on your property you guys need help with. There's another company out there that I'm a part of. It's called C.W Operations, and basically we are a liaison company that's like underneath what it comes to critter control and dealing with cryptids and spiritual warfare and anything like that. So you guys need any questions, you guys got any questions or anything like that, hit me up, and we will love to help you guys out. All right, guys, let's just get into this, man. This is going to be really good. I got returning guest, my good buddy Brice Witherow, and we're going to be going over some. Of course, you guys know he is the historian, man. So he has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to history and wars and stuff. So we're going to be talking about some wars coming up. Not coming up, but wars already happened. And some surprise things. So what up, Brice? Glad to have you on here, man.
What's up, man?
Yet again.
Yet again. The start of 2026. Man, I can't believe the month is already almost over. I mean, January 16th, man. I mean, jeez.
I know, right? Freaking
nuts, with us working so much, I mean, it's...
I know. Oh, I forgot something real quick. Guys, I almost forgot. Jeez, way to start freaking this podcast. Small business real quick. You guys need any good power washing or anything like that? You guys hit up my good buddy. He's a part of the CW Ops team too. He's got a power washing company. Great. It's called Tier 1 Fleet Pros, guys. Tier 1 Fleet Pros here in Nashville. Best power washer guy on this side of the Mississippi. So when it comes to fleet vehicles, anything you name it, he also polishes too. So polish chrome, all that good stuff. You need anything done, he's the man to do it. His number is 615-809-9839. Brian Cochran with Tier 1 Fleet Pros. All right. Back to you, Brice.
Good little side quest there.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good, bro. It's just, with us working so much and everything, times, I mean, the days have been going by fast and slow, because now we're starting 10 hours again and everything, so it's been...
yeah.
So, I'm tired. No, but, yeah. I'm doing all right. How you been, bro?
Been good, man. Other than work, dude. Yeah, I guess we got a good 3-day weekend. So Martin Luther King Day, thank God.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, we were actually supposed to work tonight, but they asked for volunteers. I'm like, you know what, dude? No, I got plans. I got a family and a life outside of work, so you guys can have it. Because we're gonna be, as well as I do, we're gonna be working 3 weekends in a freaking row, man, coming up. So I might as well just take this 3 days off, man, because I know I'm gonna need it.
Yep, after this weekend, it'll be 2 weekends back to back. So
yeah, it's real. As they say, balls to the wall. Yep.
Hitting it hard.
Yep, that's a fact. All right, man. Let's get into it. What are you gonna surprise the crowd today? What are we gonna talk about?
So I'm going to be talking about a war, a specific war that is not talked a lot about.
Mm.
It's I'd say it's a little lesser known than a lot of the big wars that we've talked about before. With the American Civil War and World War II. Um, but this is the Franco-Prussian War of 1870. Now, this war started in July 19th, 1870, and ended January 28th of 1871. So it was only a few month war. It wasn't a year long war, 2 year long, or anything like that. But it still had a lot of casualties, which I'll get into that here in a sec. Um, but it had the Second French Empire under Napoleon III, which he was the nephew of Napoleon I, which was the younger brother of he was the son of Napoleon's younger brother, Louis. Um, and so Napoleon III took the reign of the French Empire around the 1870s, 1860s, 1870s, and formed an army. And he fought against the Prussian slash German army of Kaiser Wilhelm I, which you'll be hearing the name Wilhelm quite a bit because Wilhelm III, he actually was the Kaiser of World War One.
Mm.
But Wilhelm III was actually a prince in the 1880s, so a little after William I. Um, but William III was the prince under Frederick I, which we'll get into that at another date. But the Kingdom of Prussia under Kaiser William I and the Chancellor of Prussia, which was Otto von Bismarck.
Yep.
Bismarck became Chancellor. Can't remember the exact time frame, but he was actually Chancellor for a while until a little bit after the war. And then, of course, Frederick I became Chancellor in 1888. But Bismarck is also the name of one of the biggest ships that was ever built in
Yeah.
World War II by Germany, of course.
Yeah. Real quick side note, I was actually reading something on Bismarck, Otto von Bismarck. Uh, I was basically in a nutshell, like he manipulated the diplomatic tensions to provoke France. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the reasons why that the war started,
Yeah.
because um, in 1870, the Roman Catholic branch, right? Uh, the seat of the Spanish position was vacant, right? Um, but the prince of the branch was offered the role of that position to take the seat of the throne um, in Spain, but he turned it down. And so, Germany was not happy about it. Prussia was, oh, why would you do that and stuff, blah, blah, blah. Which tensions rose with France and Prussia because now Prussia was actually trying to um, get the French to accept it, which turned out a whole big ordeal. And um, Otto von Bismarck, after that whole situation unfolded in early of 1870, when the prince actually denied that role, he went back to Berlin and said it publicly to the French people, uh, basically calling the prince, a bunch of names and stuff like that, blah blah blah, which made the French people get rallied up. And that's where what you said is that uh, reports saying that supposedly Bismarck provoked the French people to um, get Napoleon III to uh, call war against Kaiser Wilhelm I.
Yeah.
Which this happened in July 14th of 1870. So a few days before the war actually started. July 14th was actually France's national holiday.
Yeah.
For that. So 5 days after their holiday is when Napoleon III sent his troops into what was it, on the border of Germany and Prussia.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Kaiser Wilhelm, responded, and he sent his troops over there to that area, which led on to multiple different fighting and multiple major battles, like the Battle of Metz and the Battle of Sedan. Sedan being one of the worst ones among the fighting, which I believe happened in a few days. But before this time, France was determined to, reassert their position when it came to the continental Europe. Because during this time, after the Napoleonic Wars, after 1815, when Napoleon was captured and sent to the was it the Saint Helena?
Sound it out, because I don't know.
Yeah, it was the English island. I believe it's outside of England, actually, in the middle of nowhere, where Napoleon was sent on his final exile, where Napoleon actually died in 1826 on that island. But France was kind of at peace during that time. There was still a little bit of small wars every now and then, but the Franco-Prussian War was like the final biggest war before World War One.
Yeah.
And this war, only a few months of fighting, had 900,000 casualties.
Yeah, man. Well, I was reading this something that said casualties exceeded 900,000. That's something like that.
It's, if I remember correctly, it was 925,000 casualties that happened.
Military deaths plus hundreds and thousands of civilian losses, especially during the sieges.
250,000 casualties for civilians. 250,000 civilians, dude.
Okay, now, what weaponry were they using at that time?
What weaponry?
Yeah.
Muskets. So the musket that I have is the same type of musket as that actually what they use. So Springfields, Enfields, which I have is a French-made Enfield that I have. But it was the same type of weaponry of what we had here in the American Civil War, because the Civil War happened 5 years, prior till 1870, right? So the United States military was actually getting a lot of their weapons and their gear from the French, right? So this is before, France went to their war against Prussia. But the blue uniforms that we have, that was French made, as like, for the French colors.
Yeah.
The musketry, the weapons that we had, the swords, from France, from Europe, because France was our allies. We had no tension. We had no tensions of France at this time. So we were at peace with France and with Germany. And we were allies with Germany since the Revolution, because with the Hessians that fought with the British Empire during the Revolution. So that was the last time that we actually were kind of in a war with Germany. And of course, in the Revolution, France helped us, but we were at peace with both of them. But during our war, we actually had the French send us weapons and stuff. So I mean, even though that the Confederates were the ones that were trying to actually get the French and English help, which the Union were not allowing that at all, but the Union still got the weaponry from over there.
Yeah,
a little bit of
weapons trafficking there.
Yeah, a lot of ships that went up north, in the like the harbors of New York and Boston and stuff. were bringing boatloads of crates of weapons and cannons, the Napoleonic cannons that we had. That's what they were called, Napoleons. And
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, in the Franco-Prussian, they used the same thing. They used the same cannons, the Napoleonic cannons.
Yeah.
But during this time as well, weaponry started to become a little bit more advanced. So we had the Gatling gun during this time.
Yeah.
You know,
Now, for the folks who are listening, the Gatling gun, can you remind them what it is? Educate
yeah,
them a little bit.
so the Gatling gun, actually, what we used, which we didn't use it in the war, what the Gatling gun was it was on the tripod, and you had 6 barrels, right? And you had a magazine on top, where the sights were. You put the magazine on, and there's a lever on the back, and you twist it, and the barrels will, would,
Oh, it's basically
circle
almost
around.
like a hand crank.
Exactly. But that's also why the reason we have the minigun today is because of that Gatling gun. Because when you twist it, it goes.
Yeah.
So it would shoot. Can't remember the exact number of bullets per minute.
Was it 200 rounds a minute?
About 150 to 200 rounds a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I don't know. Yeah, I remember seeing that somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was about 150 rounds to 200 rounds per minute.
Yeah.
And imagine using that during combat. Especially in the 19th century, right there.
Yeah.
We never use it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. God, I love that movie. Both of them, Young Guns and The Last Samurai. They were using it there.
Yeah, The Last Samurai. And I don't know if I think that was accurate when it comes to that. Because that is a true story, The Last Samurai. But instead of American, it was actually a British officer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was British that led the last revolt, the samurais and the Japanese government. Yeah, look it up, man. Someday it's actually a really interesting story with that.
Well, I tell you what, we'll just do an episode on that. Yeah.
I do love samurais. No, but it I think that at one point the gun was used in the Franco-Prussian War, but I could be wrong. It was not used in our war because it was made in 1865. So a little bit before the war ended, but we never used it.
Yeah.
But the amount of casualties that could have actually happened with that Gatling gun, I mean, it was brutal with the mini balls.
Oh, 100%, dude. Yeah, I was just thinking though, because it's like in war, right? When it comes to like terrorists in Iraq and Middle East and stuff like that, like just going through different types of tactics and stuff that the enemy uses in terrorist cells. They put up like Blazkovs and stuff like that, like these machine guns, and a belt-fed machine gun beyond like a doorway. So when a team rolls in, they're in this fatal funnel and they just start ripping through that door, right? And I was just thinking, like, man, if some dude had one of those guns back in the day and he had people coming for him, he can just back up in the middle of the house, pointed at the doorway, and just let it rip, dude.
How about having an MG42? That would be.
Oh yeah.
The bone saw is what it's called. Yeah, if you want to talk about a brutal machine gun, that right there. And the Gatling gun is what paved the way for machine guns.
Yep, 100%. You're right.
Because that was actually the first start of it. In World War One, when Kaiser Wilhelm III, was the Kaiser there in Germany at the time. It's part of the reason why the war started. You had a lot of machine guns that were used on both fronts. What was it, the M1914s stuff. The German machine guns, what they use, the trenches.
Yeah.
And also in the Battle of the Somme, Battle of Verdun. You had them used in the Eastern Front. I mean, if you want to talk about mowing soldiers down, just like that. I mean, that was the start of it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, almost every battle you had that, and of course, new rifles, um, planes, tanks, all that. But during the 19th century, I mean, it's what really paved the way.
Oh yeah, man. I was reading through. So let's see. So I was looking at this, and with the conflict with Germany's victory,
Mhm.
Napoleon III was captured, and then the German Empire, was unified.
Yep. So Napoleon III was captured after the Battle of Sedan. In what was it, the December or January of 1870? No, it was January 28th of 1870.
Yeah.
The final day of the war. After the Battle of Sedan, Napoleon was captured. The French Empire was then completely demolished. So the empire was no more. The Napoleons were no more. Um, France then basically had to form their government.
Yeah.
So,
So question. I want to throw a little curveball at you. I'm kind of retarded when it comes to this stuff, so that's why I'm throwing a curveball and asking a question. As I was told, the dumbest question is the one not asked. But when did they form the French Foreign Legion? Did they do it around the same time, after, before, or what?
I think it was a little bit after that.
Okay.
If I remember, I think it was around. I believe it was around 1880s.
Okay.
I think is when they formed the French Legion stuff because after after the war stuff, you had the Paris Commune,
Uh-huh.
right? Which was it was a revolutionary uprising that seized power for two
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
Before the suppression and all that, which then led to the Third Reich, 1935. That is what led to Hitler's reign in power, because of the Paris Commune.
Hmm.
And also with the Treaty of Versailles too, all that. But the French Legion, I think Napoleon did have at one point, but the true French, Legion that you see today and stuff, I believe it was a little bit after the Franco-Prussian,
Legionnaires.
um,
Okay.
because after Germany declared victory and stuff, I mean, Germany had control of Western Europe
Mm.
stuff, right? Their empire. I mean, of course, it wasn't like Hitler, obviously, but
Yeah.
it was Germany and Prussia and then its allies. Um, and of course, France then formed its own government, which um, formed a new military, obviously, after the 19th century.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it was a strong military, in a sense, along with the British Empire. Um, but after World War One, that the French military then kind of took a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was completely destroyed in World War Two.
Yeah.
In the start of the war. So I mean, after World War Two, the French didn't have a military for a minute. Of course, until the '60s when they started kind of ramping back up with it. So now, I mean, you still have a French military today, but for the longest time, the 19th century, from Napoleon until Napoleon III, I mean, France was one of the biggest empires in the world at the time.
Mm-hmm.
along with the German Empire, because the German Empire went on from the Napoleonic era, right, all the way to the end of World War One. Because after Germany and its allies were defeated in 1918, Kaiser Wilhelm III stepped down from chancellor. Right, then a new chancellor came along. So then it was a whole mess in Europe in the 19th century.
Sorry, bro. I'm dying over here.
I don't blame you, bro. I've been having a cough as well.
Sorry, guys. You guys ever choke on your own spit? Woo!
Yeah, that sucks.
All right. Throw some curveballs your way. I were talking about that a little bit about it before we started. Yeah, so during that war, there was a lot of different types of things going on. So I like doing these episodes with you because you throw in the history facts part of it, and then I try to dig up a bunch of paranormal, cryptid, UFO-ology aspects to it at that time because I'm curious. Because whenever there's war, there's death. Whenever there's death, there's tainted ground. Whenever there's tainted ground, there's always spirits and everything going on. So,
there was a lot of deaths in this war too. So I mean, it's like I said, with only a few months of fighting. I mean,
yeah, it's nuts, dude. So when it came to that, they labeled it like the battlefield of apparitions and phantom armies. So here are the punch notes for it. So it stated that soldiers on both sides reported seeing troops moving through the fog and vanished when they approached them. Some described standing figures at dusk on battlefields long after fighting had ended. Others reporting hearing drums, marching feet, and distant cannon fire with no physical source. At that time, these were often described as death spirits, war phantoms, and souls unable to move on. Yeah, that was very, very, very interesting. But what's crazy is though the mass deaths, but the consistency of the reports just kept coming, and they said it was pretty unsettling. Yeah, but that was pretty interesting.
I mean, did it say like exactly which battlefield it was, or did it just say just?
It just said throughout the whole war. Didn't matter where it was at. On both sides of the fighting, they had like reports of its soldiers coming up and telling the captains, lieutenants, generals, stuff like that, what was going on, what they were seeing. So a lot of them were figuring, oh, it's just because of trauma or exhaustion or the smoke or the massive deaths or whatever, until officers started seeing stuff like that. They're like, wait a minute, might be something to this.
So officers actually were seeing a bunch of this stuff too.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading. But it didn't state who, but it's just saying these are like certain like reports. So, pretty interesting. Guys can take it for what you want.
That's what it sounds like in with like reports, around here, especially up in Gettysburg, with people seeing, soldiers and apparitions of soldiers, moving through like the tree line and like up at Gettysburg, like through the rail yard and stuff.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest battles, of the 19th century and the bloodiest of our American Civil War.
Yeah.
There's been reports for years that people have seen stuff like that. But I mean, when it comes to that, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it could be um, from the battles there stuff, but could be maybe from in the past too, because Napoleon Bonaparte, fought the Prussian and the German armies and the Austrians um, during this time of the Napoleonic campaigns in that region. So
Hell yeah. Here's another one for you. The Siege of Paris. Strange lights in the sky. So during the Siege of Paris, civilians reported unusual lights and glowing objects moving slowly across the night sky. Observers had no frame of reference or the ethereals of technology at that time. But get this though, Paris used observation balloons, signal flares, and experimental lighting. New and frightening concepts during 1870 at that time. Later, UFO researchers retroactively labeled some of the sightings as early as UFO-like events through accounts described and the artwork described from witnesses back then looking like alien crafts today of what we know as an alien craft. Pretty interesting.
Huh.
But I noticed.
Never heard.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I never heard of a alien encounter in the 19th century. Because you hear a lot of that like in the 20th and the 21st century, right?
Oh, bro, dude, if you this is my bread. Okay, if you start to go down that wormhole, brother, you're gonna there's like, if you look at it like with MUFON and all this stuff, man, dude, there's alien encounters back in history, dude, all the way in the beginning towards like Bible times, like Genesis 6, dude. Oh yeah, man, 100%, man. There's alien encounters, God knows how long. Yeah, back on like early like Egyptian days. Oh gosh, like the Persian days, stuff like that, man. Like, yeah, all those like those type of revolutions. Oh yeah, dude.
Like the ancient Egyptian part, I have heard about before, but like before that, I never would have thought.
Well, to me, when it comes to aliens, man, like me, I go everything off like a biblical perspective. If you look at how aliens move, what their MO is, right? They basically, to me, they capture people, they do tests on them, they do genome splicings, all that, right? It's just a different bumper sticker on what we call them now. But if you look at Genesis 6 with the fallen angels, they came down to the earth, they took women, they basically had sex with them, raped them, or whatever, and they altered DNA and they created Nephilim, right? It's the same thing today, except for they're taking people, they're taking women, they're basically DNA splicing, stuff like that. And dude, you go down that wormhole, man. It's nuts. Like basically how we were talking like last time on how if fallen angels or fallen angels basically is what I think they are, like aliens. They need hosts, they need people in order to be as test subjects, right? And when people get abducted or taken, they're like the test subject and they alter their DNA and all that stuff. But going back to what Hitler was doing, according to the reports, when it comes to some of the Jews and stuff like that, a lot of them were getting taken and experimented on during the camps and released to certain entities that weren't German. Yeah, it's just, to me, it's just a different bumper sticker slapped on them now. They're not called fallen angels anymore. Yeah.
Yep. By Goebbels, on them, the angel of death, that he was the the one that was responsible of doing all the experiments.
Yep.
On the Jewish children and the men and women and stuff, and
yeah,
horrific.
Yeah.
Experiments, which we'll dive that into it at a different time. But it was it's a salty subject.
It is, man.
Too.
Yeah.
I'll throw one at you though.
Yeah, sure.
You ever heard of the Battle of Los Angeles?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yep,
1920s or something like that.
1940.
1940. Okay, yeah. Yep, I heard of it.
Yeah, the Battle of Los Angeles, was a supposed attack on the U.S. on the West Coast by Japanese aircraft stuff. I believe this actually 1942 is when it happened. This was a year after we got into the War of Japan, before we got into the War of Germany, but this after the attack on Pearl Harbor and everything. So we were already about a year into the War with Japan. On the night, can't remember the exact date, but one night in 1942, air raid sirens started going off around the city of Los Angeles.
Yep, they started shooting up at them.
Yeah, and just spotlights up in the sky, right?
Yep.
Artillery firing in the night sky.
Yep.
Not hitting anything.
Exactly. Where do you think that scene came from on Nightmare Before Christmas? Uh-oh. You froze up. Okay, you froze up a little bit. You good?
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, going back to what I was saying. Yeah, that scene from Nightmare Before Christmas when they're shooting up at Jack Skellington.
Yep, it was exactly
the same freaking thing, dude.
Dude, every single time I watched that, I was like, dude, yep, I know
see
exactly what it's. Yep,
yep,
I know exactly what it is.
That.
But it's like, supposedly they didn't fire anything, or they didn't shoot anything down.
Yeah.
But it's also reports too that it could have been, a possible UFO.
Yeah. Yep.
That they were firing on.
Well, I heard it wasn't a UFO. I heard it was multiple
UFOs.
Yeah, I heard it was almost like a brigade of UFOs coming, like there.
Yeah, and everybody thought it was Japanese bombers.
Yeah,
the ones that I told you about, the Mitsubishi bombers in the last podcast. But they weren't dropping bombs or anything like that in Los Angeles. But the whole brigade and the city opened up in the night sky, not hitting a single thing. The spotlights were up in the air, every single spotlight. What the heck they were firing at?
Yeah.
There's actually a radio broadcast. I think it was actually before this happened, actually.
Yeah.
Because back in the 40s and radios, they would actually, tell stories.
Oh yeah,
like horror stories.
That's where you get the dang War of the Worlds. Dude, actually, matter of fact, I still listen to this this one podcast. I still listen to. It's called like Old Time Radio or something like that, but it pulls just stories from like back in the 20s to like the late 50s, man. That's what it's called, Old Time Radio Cast. It's really good, man. Anyways,
I'm sure they talk about that one story. I cannot think of the name, but a radio broadcaster actually was talking about like a
War of the Worlds.
Was it War of the Worlds?
Yeah, it was War of the Worlds. Yeah, and freaked out so many people
because he made it sound so real.
Sound like it was actually real time on what was going on.
And I think that's what really sparked a lot of like tension and stuff, and the city of Los Angeles and everything. And I think with that right there too, it's like everybody thought, "Oh my God, it's happening!" Oh no.
Yeah, man.
But that's one story that I do actually know about was the Battle of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
About that whole UFO sighting and stuff. That's the one story. I got to read the others though.
Well, also too though, about the underground cities of Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where supposedly the reptilian race lives at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting too, man.
Apparently, there's like a tunnel, whatever, that you go through, like in the side of the mountain over there in Los Angeles.
Something like that.
Like you go down and everything.
Yeah. But anyways, sidetracked. Going back to that war in 1870, real quick. This is crazy too. Comets, omens, and end times thinking. So there was a bright comet that appeared in 1870, visible during the buildup to the war. In the 19th century Europe, comets were widely believed to be harbingers of catastrophe, right? The newspapers and clergy and civilians openly discussed the comet as a sign of the imperial collapse of divine judgment. After France's defeat, many believed that the fall of Napoleon III was cosmetically, basically, that was a sign of him falling. So that was pretty interesting.
Because he was captured after the Battle of Sedan.
Mm-hmm.
And see that? I think that's coincidence.
Right. Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. You're going back to the Bible, right? It talks about times and seasons, right? Of when God's going to do certain things to history or people or whatever, like high up, right? Just look at the skies, he said. You will see signs and wonders, and stuff like that. But you just gotta just pay attention. And gosh, like I forgot what it was, but for example, we're gonna get a little political here. When the Roe v. Wade, the whole like abortion thing was turned over, right, to where they made it like against the law. Well, right before that, we had like planets like aligning like a week before that happened. And then the day before the voting happened, the planets all aligned and then they started to separate. And then the next day, the vote was in and they totally demolished the Freedom Act of people aborting babies. So, pro-life, woohoo, we won. But yeah, I just thought that was pretty interesting. This guy brought it up during the end times headlines, was like, during big events and big things, like God kind of gives you like a little bit of God winks. We just have to just pay attention, to things around us, like in the sky or whatever. I'm not saying that everything is like, oh my gosh, guys, I freaking see like I see like a blood moon, oh, what's gonna happen? It's just whatever, like sometimes, most time that just happens,
Conspiracy, man.
Happen, yeah. As Alex Jones says, oh, the frogs are turning gay, just yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I just thought that was pretty interesting though on the whole comets and omens when it came to Napoleon. So that was pretty interesting.
So I'm curious to know like what happened before Hitler was defeated. Like what was the omen of that? Like I wonder like if it was like a sky situation or what, because of course Hitler fell in 1945 in May, but unless if he knew that he would be defeated, even though he planned a 1,000-year Reich.
That's a pretty good question. Let me think about this.
Now, since you brought, when you brought that up, I was like, huh.
Okay. Let's see. It's going to be sad. These documents believe eyewitness reports, not claims of supernatural, but perfect, eerie, historical framing. Omens in the sky before Hitler's fall. Number one, Allied. Foo Fighters from 1944 to 1945. Allied and Axis pilots reported glowing orbs flying alongside the aircrafts. Object, they changed direction instantly, didn't show on radar, and didn't attack. Seen over Germany, France, and in those European areas. Pilots believe they were secret Nazi weapons or something not human. After the war, No nation claimed responsibility. Firestorms over German cities. Massive bombings in Hamburg and Berlin created tornado-like firestorms. Skies glowing red for miles, ashes falling like snow. Civilians described the sky on fire and the heavens collapsing. Many Germans believe this fulfilled biblical a prophetic prophecy. And then strange atmospheric phenomenon. Unusual reports of blood red sunsets. Well, of course, that's has to do with the bombings and fires and all that. But green and purple night skies, lightning without storms, caused by smoke, burning phosphorus, high altitude, bomb dormants, and that's actually about it. Oh, here we go. Number 4, comets and astrological signs of panic. Astrologers in Nazi Germany quietly warned leadership that the planetary alignments in 1944 through 1945 signaled destruction. Oh, I didn't know this. This is really interesting. Hitler himself reported, and he consulted astrologers and occultists earlier in the war about this. By late 1944, astrology and the occult advisors were purged, and they basically went crazy. But because of the alignings of the planets, that's crazy. Huh. Pretty interesting.
I wonder, when you say it was in 1944, I wonder if that was before the invasion of D-Day.
Well, it said late 1944.
So probably August then.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Because, we landed in June of 44. But also, it could be December. Because, the Battle of Ardennes, Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah.
That was the last German offensive. They try to get the Germans or the Americans out of Antwerp and stuff. Trying to cut off that supply route. Also trying to push the Americans out of Belgium, completely demolish them and stuff to save the German Empire, because they were right close on the doorstep of Berlin. That was the final push. And of course, in January 25th, my birthday, 1945, is when the Bulge was in our hands. We won the battle and pushed forward inward into the Rhine.
Yeah.
And of course, May of 1945 was when Hitler killed himself. And when the war ended.
Season South America, guys.
Yeah, if y'all haven't, check out the Argentina episode that we talked about with Hitler. Man, that was a good podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Hitler's
100%.
Escape.
Yes, sir. That was the one prior to this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I wouldn't mind doing one on Freebird, man. Admiral Bird at Freebird. That's a freaking Leonard Skinner song. Freebird, Admiral Freebird.
Admiral
No. Yeah. Yeah. Like that 8-minute solo.
Yeah. The one quote I do love with the Battle of the Bulge, can't think of the general's name. So, the German general sent a telegram to, I think it was MacArthur, or Patton, basically demanding us to lay down our weapons, leave Belgium and stuff, blah, blah, blah. And our reply was nuts. That's it. Nuts.
What do you think that meant, man?
Yeah, no, we're not leaving. I can't remember what the German officer said in the telegram to Patton, but Yeah, the one word, nuts. And they do talk about that in the show, um, Band of Brothers. There's actually one scene in there in one of the final episodes
Yeah.
where they actually talk about that.
Roger that, man. Roger that. But yeah, man, that's all I got on my end for that, bro. I figured I'd throw some weirdies your way.
Yeah, but I just always find that interesting though when it comes to the paranormal, especially in the 19th century. There was soldiers, especially after intense fighting and stuff, like days after, seeing apparitions of their once comrades and friends. Um, I just think that's. I mean, just imagine being in that time in the 19th century.
Yeah.
You're having men fall around you in lines, like what Napoleon did in the Napoleonic Wars, what we did in the Civil War, what the Franco-Prussian War. I mean, brutal, 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 brutal.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think the whole fighting tactics back then were just nuts, dude. Like,
I
to
mean,
me, I'm glad we, had smarts enough to do like guerrilla warfare fighting, but just in the line. All right, I'm gambling. Hopefully, I don't get hit, but the dude next to you gets hit and your buddy gets hit.
Johnny, no.
Seriously, dude. Or like, and then you're lucky enough to take a cannonball to the face, like,
Gosh, even that's brutal.
you know?
I've seen accounts of that. Oh,
Yeah,
or like
it's nuts.
half the I've seen accounts where half of the face is knocked off by cannonball.
Man, dude.
It telling all of you, wars back in the 19th century were brutal compared to what, well, ancient period obviously was brutal as well. I mean, with the
Yeah, I
Persians
think it
and
was a different type of brutal. I don't
it
know. To
was.
me, it's like right before guns hit the market. You know what I mean? Like, I think the swords and everything were at their perfect peak. They were
Oh
sharp.
yeah.
Fighting was great. Like, you can kill someone in quick, done. Bleed out fast, done. And then you know how it is when something's invented. You got to get all the kinks out first before.
hmm
But if you use it, God, that would suck to get shot back then too, man. Is that you
I
can?
mean, without the proper medicine like what we have now, I mean, you had a lot of lead poisoning. And I
Yeah,
think most of the soldiers actually did die from lead poisoning
yeah,
when it came to the Franco-Prussian. But uh, most of the casualties for our war was caused by lead poisoning and sickness.
mm,
50% of the casualties that we had was because of that,
yeah,
and the other 50 was, you know, actual being killed on the battlefield.
yeah.
Which we had 623,000 casualties during the Civil War, while the Franco-Prussian had 900,000.
Yeah, that's nuts, dude. Especially in a short amount of time.
Because what, July, August, September, October, November, December,
Yeah, like 6
6
months.
months of fighting.
Yep, 6
Six
months,
months of
dude.
fighting. And our war lasted 4 years
Huh? Yeah, it was a
with
bloodbath,
less
man.
casualties than what they had.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But going back to what you were saying with the whole, with that many people dying, right?
Mm,
That was bloodshed. It's this thing that I'm actually gonna be doing an episode with one of my buddies, Dr. Carroll, good friend of mine. We're gonna be talking about familiar spirits, right?
mm,
So when it comes to each individual that's alive, you actually have the spirits attached to you. Well, angels and demons, right? So you have a guardian angel and you have a familiar spirit, basically, that are following you and learning things about you and your family and stuff. So when it came to these soldiers seeing apparitions and stuff like that with spirits, I think they're like familiar spirits is what they are. But also too, when it comes to killing, bloodshed, like the intent, like the energy behind war opens up a portal of like the demonic, right?
Mhm.
And when you go to certain grounds, you're like, oh, dude, I feel something bad here, man. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah. I just find it very, very interesting. And yeah, but yeah, just the whole thing's a trip, man. It's really, it makes you think too, as humans, man, how like myopic our thinking is. And when you step back and look at the big picture, we're just a little speck
Mhm.
of this thing we call life. You know what I mean? Compared to the big picture with everything spiritually and physically.
Right. And that's one of the things I love about, you know, going over history and
Mm,
studying different aspects of history, different points, parts, time frames, timelines, is not only, going over wars, all the different wars, all the way to ancient Greece, but seeing how time changed over the centuries.
mm,
I mean, from ancient Greece, with you having um, women that are taking grapes out of the gardens and making wine and like the cellars and stuff and like temples and all that to now we're driving cars, flying planes, and you know what we have in our hand right now, phones and stuff. I mean, centuries and centuries of technology and weaponry and the way of life, the way of life grow in a sense,
mm.
but that's part of the reason why I love, not only telling people about history and stuff, but studying it, and because I learn new stuff every day.
Mhm,
I tell people stuff all the time, but I also learn new stuff every day.
mhm.
And it's always good
That's
to learn.
oh, it is, man. Because if you stop learning, you ain't growing, dude. You're gonna be stagnant. You know
Exactly, bro.
the way it
Exactly.
is, man. Yeah, I look at life like a well, see, my pastor said this, but I look at life as we're hanging on a greasy rope, man.
Hmm.
Either we're climbing or we're slipping, man. That's all there is to it. We're climbing or we're slipping.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, that's all I got, big guy.
that's all the notes I have.
Yep, I know what you're gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do. We're gonna crash out.
Amen to that.
So, all right, dude, great show, good show, man. Yeah, I always have fun chatting with you, and I like how
Oh yeah.
you know when you talk, I learn a lot of things from you, and that's why when I tell you, hey, give me like a little punch list, and then when I see it's long, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna read all of it because I wanna
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wanna be
yeah.
surprised, on some stuff like, oh crap, okay. So then I start digging up on some things, but yeah, but good stuff, man, good stuff. So, um, yeah, just if anybody need to hit you up, where can people find you out there, Mr. Brice?
Yeah, don't want to hit me up, uh, ask me questions, and y'all want to learn more about any kind of topic in history, hit me up on Instagram, under Brice Witherow. Um, hit me up in there. Also hit me up on Facebook as well in the same name. Um, I'll ask away, I'll answer. Let's do it.
All right, sounds good to me, big guys. All right, guys. Like I said, and here is my freaking son right now. What up, buddy? That okay. Well, I don't know what you did. Hold on, guys. Give me a quick second. I'm just gonna talk to you guys as I'm fixing this for my son. Oh, bam! Multitasking. There we go. That's what dads do. All right. Anyways, yeah, guys. Like I said, if you guys got any questions for Brice, I will have those information in the show notes, like I usually do with everybody else. Yeah, this guy's wealth of knowledge, and yeah, hit him up because yeah, because I do at work sometimes too. So, um, anyways, yeah, guys, you guys got any questions or anything like that? Hit Brice up. I have everything in the show notes. You guys got any questions for me? You guys want to be on the show? You guys got any experiences? You guys want to talk? You guys got any factual things you guys want to throw out? You guys need to talk to the public. Let me know. Shoot me an email, cryptidwarfare@gmail.com or Instagram. That's where I'm the heaviest at. So look up Cryptid Warfare. So, guys, that is it. We'll catch you guys next time. And hope you guys have a blessed week. We are out.
See ya.
Peace.